Hey everybody, hello and good evening, greetings from, where are we? Winnsboro, Texas. Alright, we are loaded. The local time here is 7 p.m. Today, once again, it is Sunday, September 17, 2017. I don't need to tell you the time, right? Alright, we, as I said, we're loaded and headed for Fogglesville, Pennsylvania, which is 1,366 miles. Thank you. Unfortunately, I only have 1 hour and 3 minutes remaining to drive. That's going to be enough just to make it to, I wonder if I could make it to Texarkana from here. I doubt it. But either way, I'm going to try to make it to wherever. Oh my lord, I forgot to put myself on the drive line. Fortunately, there's nobody behind us. There. It should be enough time for me to make it to a Pilot or a Flying J somewhere. Man, I need a shower. Baby Blue's been hinting on me all day long. Is that bright enough or what? Very nice. Or those really old gas stations. It's funny how our mood or our appetite changes by the TV or video that we see. I was watching this video about a couple of these guys were eating in a Chinese restaurant. I'm not talking about these dollar store type Chinese restaurant. I'm talking about those real expensive, authentic Chinese restaurants. And that's what I'm hungry for. Chinese food. I wonder if I was supposed to make a right turn at that light. I don't know. Alright, here's something I want to talk to you guys about. It's about time travel. Now, many of you out there know that I have always been fascinated by time travel. Now, first and foremost, everybody hates the history of the slavery, the injustice, how the Europeans conquered the Native Americans, how they were treated, you know, that stuff, right? First, let's talk about slavery. Well, let's talk about the whole thing. So, anyway, if you had the technology or the means to go back in history as far as 1700, or let's just say the day Christopher Columbus left Spain. What would you do to change? What would you, if you could bring one thing, if you could change one thing and one thing only, what would you change in history? I must warn you, this is a trick question. Not really, but let's just go with it. So if you could go back in history and change one thing, what would it be? If you could go back from now until the day after or the day before Christopher Columbus sailed, alright, let's, for the sake of conversation, talk about, somebody would say, I want to change the history of the slavery, where the slavery has never happened. Are you sure that's a good idea? What if there were far worse thing that could happen than the slavery? You must admit that the horrific history of slavery came good things to a lot of people in the present. Let's just say the slavery has never happened. Look at the current situation of Africa. Are you sure you want to be living in that condition? Look, I'm not saying the slavery was right. Of course not. It was absolutely horrific. But you know what? It's always been the history of man where we meant it for evil, God meant it for good. Look at the story of Joseph. Joseph's brothers sold him to slavery, and because of that, he saved the world from starvation. When his brother says, we're sorry what we did for you, to you, said, yeah, you did it for you meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. And you know, by the way, this conversation is probably not going to apply for the atheists and agnostics. You're not part of this conversation. By the way, if for those of you who would like to change history, you know, the Bible says that God is the history maker. He makes history, not mankind. God creates history. We are just a tool of that history. So if you really want to change history, you're saying to God, God, I don't like the history that you made. I want to change it. So in essence, you're saying you could do better than what God has done, or that you want to play God. Right? That was a trick question, by the way. So you want to go back in history and change history into your image, not the way you look, your image, the way you want certain things to happen. That is, by the way, the meaning of we are created in God's image. That doesn't mean we look like God. It just means we have the ability to think like Him and feel like Him. I used to struggle with that concept of, see, we're always led to believe that the image is a picture. We were created in His image by His attributes. So you want to go back in history and change the history into your image. Now there's a scary thought. So what would you do to go back in history? What would you do that you could change one thing? You know, if you look at it in our simple-minded view, there has been a lot of horrific incidents throughout history. But I doubt that the number of good things that happen between the histories and because of that history can ever be counted by individual stories of people that has never been told, right? The history book does not record the individual achievements and individual history of people and families. So my point is, I think the good outweighs the bad. For example, there were what, 5 million, 6 million Jews that was killed by the Holocaust. As horrific as that is, how many have survived? And made history, good memories, good life, because of that atrocity. So I guess the whole point of going back to history, in my opinion, is we're not qualified to change history because we don't see the overall picture. We don't see the tiny stories out there. And the number of good stories and achievements. And besides, as I said, if you try to change history, I guarantee you it would be worse. So do I believe in time travel? By mankind's ability? No. I think that God can. God is present in all times and places. You ever notice that everything that we want to accomplish is by power? I mean, it turns the motivation of our accomplishments and with the things that we want turns into a power play. For example, we want to be smarter because then we have the power to be smarter than somebody else. We want to be smarter because that smart turns into money, money turns into power. We want to look really beautiful, we want to look handsome. Then we have the power to tell somebody, I'm prettier than you, or to attract the better mate. It just seems to me that everything in this life that we want to achieve is because of power. Guess I was right. I was supposed to turn right at that light. Too late now. We're only 7 miles away from Sulphur Springs anyway. Me and my blabbermouth. We got 44 minutes remaining to drive. I guess I'm gonna drive myself to the nearest Pilot or Flying J. Oh dear, I forgot to send in the loaded call. There's a Walmart right over here. Yeah. I just remembered I need a shower. Nope, no Walmart. The speed limit here is 65. $55 up ahead. Welcome to Sulphur Springs, everyone. Walmart right there. Got truck parking too. So we got 35 minutes remaining to drive. There's Saputo cheese where we picked up the other time that we were here. Let's see how far is the next pilot. $167. Yeah, we're not gonna make it there, dude. How about the Flying J? $98 miles. Ew. How about Loves? Where's the next Loves? 21 miles. That's it. That's where we're going. We're gonna have to ask somebody for a shower then. Alright folks, we'll catch you guys later. As always, thank you for watching. Johnny Be Good here. Have a good and godly day. Peace.